Hi, this is Erin from Blossy Bee. Welcome to my channel. The plan for this video is to create a tile set game from scratch. I'm going to make a custom silicone mould, cast all 50 pieces, design, print, laminate and affix the characters, design a logo and laser engrave the backs of each. Phew! This video is totally inspired by Nikki and Kirk from Kernex Creations as part of an international crafting collaboration, the ultimate gaming-inspired craft quest. Check out the playlist that I'll link in the description box below. I've been thinking about making a custom mould for a set of tiles suitable for a tile game for a very long time. So when Nikki and Kirk came up with this amazing collaboration idea, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I bought quite a long time ago, just from a dollar store, some plastic, the blank dominoes, and I thought these would be perfect to make the mould from for my tiles. So I'm just rolling out here some transfer tape, or it's a sheet of transfer plastic, and I'm sitting down my mould frame. This is one of those clip together frames, and I'm pretty confident that if I press that down quite firmly onto the sticky, it's like contact that you use to cover your books when you went to school. And I know that when I put these pieces down, so they do have a cavity in both sides, but I don't want that. I want them to have a flat back, similar to a mahjong tile. So I'm going to press them down onto that sticky surface, and I know that when I pour the silicone around, it will not go under, and hopefully I'll get a great shaped tile. I did sort of fiddle around with a few different I guess ways of setting these out, and I end up coming up with a pattern that gives me 24 pieces. Unfortunately, I had in my head a design for a game which is 25 pieces. So as you'll see coming up, I end up casting lots of pieces for this, but it's all good. I'm using Silicreate liquid silicone rubber, which is a platinum cure silicone, and it's a Shore hardness of 15. And I wanted it to be a really nice, juicy, thick silicone mould, and it's going to be quite flexible. I'm hoping these pieces virtually pop themselves out. I don't want to be struggling with 24 little pieces out of a mould for any reason. And yeah, I make up a second little batch just to ensure that I've got a thick enough coverage in there. So this silicone cures just in a couple of hours. So I'm very excited to get to the demolding part. So I just carefully, I've sticky taped that sheet down to my work mat. So I'm taking that off the back now, and it comes off absolutely cleanly and beautifully. Some people use resin tape, but I thought because it's such a larger piece, I'd use that whole sheet. So now I'm just taking off the edges of the form of the mould, and I can see there was a little bit of silicone that did escape under there. Not a lot, but what I'll do is I'll trim around the edge. Now I'm using a nail cuticle cutter, and I'm just slightly stretching out the overhanging silicone, pulling it taut, and then running the cuticle cutter along the edge, and it neatens it up beautifully. All of that silicone can be kept, and when I make another mould using the same silicone rubber, I can pop that in as filler. So demolding looks good. I'm pretty excited at this point. It all looks really clean and crisp and very happy with it. So I've got my custom game piece silicone mould. Now, I'm going to fast forward through this part because my initial idea was to cast the pieces in this stunning jet black but sparkly resin. And I thought it would look amazing, turn out great, the whole thing. Maybe you've been there, done that, so you know what I mean. But it just did not. It took quite a while to cure, and I knew that I had to do several pours because of the amount of tiles that I needed. And when I demold it, you'll see that I probably should have gone around each piece with a little silicone tool. There are just so many little, I guess they're bubbles, air bubbles, just on the edges. It's really rough and I'm just not feeling it. So I demold these, and as I'm demolding it, I'm thinking to myself, I love the shape. I'm super happy with the style and I love the mould. I do need to check though that it isn't the mould that has these little blemishes in it, and I think to myself, I'm going to use an eco casting compound. So now I'm going to mix up some AR400, my favourite from Harry and Wilma, and it's a 1:3 ratio, 1 part tap water to 3 parts of the powder, and I'm using about 15 drops of this eco casting compound liquid pigment, and I've changed my idea a little bit because I think that this bright yellow will be even better than the black that I had planned. So I'm hoping that I can turn this around and create something that's even more in the theme that I will reveal very shortly. So I've mixed this up as normal and I'm just pouring it in. I was rushing a little bit for this part because I really just needed a proof of concept. I wanted to see if I could get a nice clean cast from this mould after seeing all the little divots in the resin, epoxy resin ones. I just wanted to make sure. And they came out beautifully. There were a couple of little air pockets, but I looked at the mould carefully and I've put this down to user error. So the next batch I pour, I'm going to use a little tool and I'm going to go in and run that all around the edges and make sure that I dislodge any bubbles that are forming there. But now I've got to this point, I can see I'm still going to make exactly the same theme as I was, but it's going in a slightly different direction with how I'm going to be able to finish it off. So I'm very excited at this point. So now I start making and pouring, and I do this several times. I'm not going to put you through all of that, but there was a lot of it. It was so much easier using the eco casting powder with regards to time because, you know, I can turn these around in under an hour. So that makes it very efficient. And I needed to make sure that the mixture was quite liquid. I couldn't risk it getting too thick. So I did half batches each time. And even so, I would notice that towards the end, the last couple were probably getting a bit too thick. So it really was a matter of working quickly and in small batches and making sure also that I use that little tool to run around the edges just to try and minimize any bubbles. So that's what I'm doing here. And look, this worked fantastically. Maybe I had one or two that had bubbles, but really hardly anything at all. It was worth taking my time and getting it right. So this is after I've poured the second batch, and I am thrilled. These are gorgeous. The colour is beautiful. They feel great. They feel like a mahjong tile. My mum learnt to play mahjong from an amazing lady so decades and decades ago. There must have been an ad in the paper. This lady offered to tutor people, and mum and a group of friends all learnt together, and then they went on to play pretty much every Monday night for I think 30 or 40 years. And even though mum has huge short-term memory issues, she still knows how to play, and I have no clue. I look at mahjong games and I'm just like, go you, because I can't understand it. But I've pretty much grown up hearing the clinking of those tiles and loving seeing them be shuffled, and they've been a huge part of my life. So it's a real pleasure to be able to actually make something like this. It's quite exciting, really. I've already got plans for the next project with this mould. That's how much I'm enjoying it. So just doing another batch here, and as I said, I just rinse, repeat and kept going because I wanted to make sure I had enough pieces, not only for the set but also in case some didn't work out, or if I made some errors. I just wanted to ensure that I would have a backup plan and get all of the pouring done. So after I poured all the pieces and demolded all the pieces, I set them aside to cure to reach their full strength. And I'd always recommend, a couple of days is perfect. 2 to 3 days is ideal. If you can put them into a warm, dry location, they can cure a little bit faster. But you do really want to give that water a chance to evaporate and for the acrylic resin to reach its maximum strength. So here we go. Now I did notice that I must have used a little bit less pigment in one batch, and so I started putting those on the right hand side, almost panicking, but luckily I had made plenty of the correct colour. So as I went, I was just sort of pushing the lighter ones to the side. Now I've just laid a sheet of card over the top, and I want to do a test. So the idea is I want the base of the inside of these to be white, and I don't want the white to be seen when the tile is face down. So I am using 1 part, which is 5 mils, to 3 parts, which is 15 mils of AR 400. And I've enlarged this part to show you what happened. It is too thick. I needed to have it just flow in and sit on the bottom of the piece, just a little thin layer, but this did not work. And I even tried wiping out one of them, but no. So I decided to double the amount of water. Now, I'm not recommending that you ever do this. This worked for me on this particular occasion, but it is not in line with the manufacturer's instructions. I just knew that I wanted a very watery mixture as a trial to see if I could get that thin coat of white on the base of these tiles, and it was much better. it was almost a milk-like consistency, and as long as I did it quite quickly, they worked out great. They took not very long at all actually to cure, maybe 45 minutes. And so once I'd done my test pieces, I knew I was ready to do the rest. So I had to replace those crash test dummy pieces with some others, and then I'm still going to stick to the 20 ml batches, so 25 mils now, so 10 mils of water to 15 mils of powder. And it's just like when I was pouring them, I want to work smart. I really can't afford to make many mistakes. I want to make sure that I get the best possible outcome. So I'm just using teeny little batches and taking my time whilst moving at a reasonable pace. And I think that they look really good. Some of them I didn't put as much in as others, and as they cured you could see a little bit of the yellow poking through, but it wasn't too bad. A couple of them I spilt a little bit over the edges. Most of those I was able to just take off quite easily, but overall it was a great solution and a really effective way of getting this white base. Now, it's time for me to tell you what on earth I'm up to. There is a game. Now, remember, this is Craft Quest, which the challenge was thrown out to makers from around the world to create a craft inspired by any game. It could be a video game, a board game, a card game, a tabletop game, anything like that. And we were also encouraged to use any material we wanted to. So immediately, one of my favourite games of all time came to mind. And I was so delighted when I started researching it because it has just celebrated its 45th anniversary. Yes, that is how long this game has been around. Wow. And the game is PacMan. So PacMan was invented and designed in Japan, released in 1980. And it was quickly distributed all around the world, and people just fell in love with the popular little character that chomped everything up. And it had really easy rules, great controls, cute characters, and I used to play it in a place in Devonport where I grew up. It was a tabletop game. You sat either end and it had a black screen on top. You put your money in and played, and I loved it. The goal was pretty simple. You just had to try and help PacMan out of the room, and he had to go along eating all of the little dots, which were called Pac dots, and then the monsters, which are little ghosties, and they had to be avoided, and you could pick up little things along the way, little fruits and things, or power pellets. So it was really simple but highly addictive, and the fact you could play it as a two-player game, I just remember that being such fun. So I hope this has brought back some happy memories for some of you as well. So I wanted to customise these tile pieces even further than I'm going to, and I decided to laser engrave the back of them with a logo I'm about to make. So I have a search online and I find a PacMan font called Pac Font. I download that and then open up Xtool, type in the letters PacMan and apply the font. And then I decide I'm going to have 2 of the words on the top of each tile one each way. So it doesn't matter if the tile's upside down or round the right way, you can still read it. And what you can see in front of you is going to be for 4 tiles. So I've written the text just in single letters going down and then the reverse. And I'm hoping that that will look really good. So I'm about to show you the settings, or I've shown you the settings on here. If you would like to see them, feel free to stop, pause and have a look. And I just send that through to my X-Tool F1 laser engraver. I've set up a little system here where I'm going to do 4 at once, and I've got a little frame on the base, and I know that when I put the pieces in there, they're all going to line up. And then I just kept going. There are 50 pieces to this game, so I had to repeat this many times. But I'm so happy with how the logo looks. It's really pretty, and there is no other game like this in the world because I've made it. Now, these are the little characters I'm going to include. So, one set of tiles is going to consist of PacMan, the happy little yellow character, and I'm pairing him or matching him up with the 4 monsters, which are the little ghosts, and they all have their own names. Inky, Pinky, Blinky and Clyde. And then I've also decided to have the oppositions pieces individual, and they are all pieces of fruit. And the fruits are cherries, a strawberry, a peach, an apple and melon. Now, this part did take a very long time. That sheet of paper I showed you was a printout from my DeskJet printer, so I had to find all of the images online, resize them, make sure they were transparent, measure the size of the tiles inside area, and then print them all out, cut them all out, then laminate them all, then cut up all of the laminated pieces. I just wanted to make sure that I protected the paper as I was working with it. If I did this again, which I would like to, I've got other ideas for these, I would use UV DTF decals that I custom designed and have printed. It would be much simpler. But this is what I had to work with, and so I just sat down and made it work. And it was quite a celebration when I got to the last one, I can tell you that. So now what I need to do is I need to actually affix these to the tiles. I'm going to use Duraclear gloss varnish, and I'm going to just put a couple of drops onto the white AR400 Eco Casting Powder, and then drop in the little laminated character. And I'm so sorry that these are down so low on the screen. I do move them up, but in the beginning, I think I was just not concentrating on what it looked like. I was just thinking I've got 50 of these to do. After doing the second one, I realised that if I sort of squish them down and get the varnish to come up over the sides, I've got a better chance of getting a good seal. And so from this point onwards, I make sure that I have enough in there that I can also do a coat over the top. And so then I just go ahead and do all 50 of the tile pieces, and then it is just a matter of setting those aside to harden up or cure or whatever varnish does. I often don't have the right word for that. And then it is time to have a game and set them up and see what they look like. I'm so grateful that Nikki and Kirk from Kirk's Creations came up with this amazing collaboration. It is so creative, and I strongly encourage you to check out the playlist, which I'll put in the description box. The amount of people participating and their breadth of knowledge and skills and creativity in crafting are amazing, and it is truly binge worthy. Forget about Netflix or whatever, just you have got hours and hours and hours of free content here that is going to be so much fun to watch. Now, for the purpose of this video, I didn't seal the AR400. I've just left it as is, and I'm about to challenge my son to a game, so you'll get to see that if you stay tuned to the end of the video. I am so grateful to you for joining me and watching along with me as I made all of these pieces. If you are new to my channel, welcome. It would be amazing if you could please subscribe, press the like button, leave a comment. I would love to know from current subscribers, new subscribers, anyone watching, did you play PacMan when you were little or even as an adult? And do you have fond memories of it? Or was there another game that really caught your eye and you used to love? Let me know. So here is the inaugural PacMan tile game battle. And on the left is me. And on the right is my son. And we're going to go rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first. And it's me with the paper surrounding the rock, of course. And we have a little spare tile we pop in first. And then whatever comes out the bottom of your pile needs to go into where it belongs. So on the right, Jack has got PacMan and the little ghosts. And on the left, I've got all the fruits. Now, you can see this is the first time we've ever played this, and our columns might have been a bit wibbly wobbly, and I might need to come up with a solution for that. But we had a lot of fun, and it just worked really well. And I'm very pleased to say he won. Yay! See you in the next video. Bye for now.